Okay, well, we'll go ahead and get started in just a moment. I think, Chief Weimer is going to be joining us in a little bit. I know Rick Gerger is unable to make it today, he's out of town. Paul Bars and, Eric Tillman might zoom in, but as of now, they're not on, right? Okay, Dr. Martin is manning the screens for us.
Well, maybe.
Thank you. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and get started then. Thank you everyone for coming today to our November Webster Grove Safe Streets Task Force meeting. I don't know if we specifically called this out last time, but in terms of branding, you'll now be seeing and hearing, instead of saying Safe Streets for All or Webster Grove Safe Streets for All, we are WG Safe Streets. So that's what will be on our communications and our messaging. So just so you know. Okay, and so if you remember last month, we started off with the question of the month, and if that one just had to do with where everyone's perspective was. This month, we're going to ask you actually to get up and walk around. We have some giant Post-its on the walls here, and the question this month is to share your parking safety issues that come to mind. And actually, this was kind of inspired from you guys, Julie and Tammy, last month mentioning parking. And so we want to hear more about that. And so we've got different Post-its to cover different perspectives. So we've got the business owner perspective, cyclist, if you work in Webster Groves or you're a student, not necessarily a resident, but you come into the community because for work or school, and then also just a resident perspective. And if you are, for those that are on Zoom, feel free to send those into our WG Safe Streets inbox, or you can just put them in the chat if you're comfortable. And do we have Sharpies?
They're right into the white sheets.
Okay, perfect. So if you don't mind, we're just gonna walk around with your coffee and your muffins, and if something comes to mind, please write it down so we can collect your perspectives and concerns about parking.
It's not Yes. 15 minutes. Oh, fine.
Oh no, Shiny.
You just go into the question of the month.
If you work in Webster and you're not a student, just put like a W or a S.
Coffee's delicious.
It's the perspective of
One time, that's the.
no, please, yes,
That's all. What's the? Where, right, that's our student.
Already.
And they're not. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Not really.
Yeah, so that was the work here, that was the work in Webster Grove.
Okay.
That is.
Okay.
And also if there are. Things go.
Yeah, there's always something. You settling in?
Yeah, that's going good. Lot of good hopping on like that.
There's so many.
Just. Your bottle. City Hall.
Paul Bars and Eric Tillman, thank you so much for joining. We were having a little mishap with Zoom, so I think you guys were just admitted to the webinar.
Can you guys, can you hear me?
Oh, perfect. Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect.
Is that Eric?
This is Eric. Yes.
Perfect. Great. Thanks so much, Eric. So what we're doing right now, can you see the PowerPoint at the moment?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we're taking about 10 minutes to walk around the room. We've got giant Post-it notes up on the walls to collect people's perspectives on parking safety issues. And so we're trying to think of all the parking issues that come to mind from the business owner perspective or the cyclist perspective for those people that work in Webster Groves or our students, and also, of course, just from the resident perspective as well. So please, if things come to your mind, you can put them in the chat or email them to the WG Safe Streets inbox. And then I think we might be finishing up a couple minutes early, so we'll probably just go ahead and take a few minutes to talk about this, but that's what we're doing right now.
Good.
Got it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul, for joining. Councilwoman, we are collecting people's concerns on parking. So if you have anything to add, and this is from the resident perspective, cycling, business owner, if you're just passing through, if you're a student or you work in the community, so we're putting them up on post-its, but we'll probably go ahead and talk about it for a few minutes because I think we're running. Okay. We've started. There's a spot right here if you wanna.
I'm not gonna say.
So we have started, we are right now taking some time for people to give us their thoughts about parking concerns. And so we've walked around and put some notes up on these giant posters on the walls. And then we might have some comments, some answers coming in through Zoom. And we'll go ahead and chat about it in just a second.
Wow.
Thank you. Yes.
Or that aren't here.
Well, maybe we should pass the microphone.
I tried to send him to this, but
Okay. Oh, perfect. Yeah, okay, thank you. Okay, so this was a really great suggestion. I forget if it was Julie or Tammy, but it was definitely from our business owners that brought this issue up last month. And in terms of roadway safety, we often think about moving vehicles or walking and cycling, but the specific act of parking and what that entails was, I think, really insightful to bring up. So thank you. Are there anything that immediately comes to mind that would help us understand any of your concerns better that you think would be important too? Cycling. Paul, are you on the line? Did you have anything with, I know you're an avid cyclist, right?
I am, yes. I mean, just kind of off the top of my head, I mean, what's important for me as a cyclist in the parking context is, and this is pretty obvious, is having places where you can lock your bike and preferably not having to enter parking lots on the same in the same manner that vehicles do. So something that allows you to access the lockup spot without having to navigate a vehicle parking lot, because those are dangerous for cyclists.
That's excellent. Thank you. I am not an avid cyclist, and I don't think I had thought of that. That makes sense. Thanks for sharing that.
I'll say the one that people wrote in terms of narrow streets and parking on both sides. And that just presents issues with, you know, one-way traffic essentially, and maybe stuff that are like parking or like sticking out, you know, just issues like that. Good.
You want to cycle, it just occurred to me, a refresher of what the laws are for here. Is there a helmet law in Webster roads? And when I'm faced with a stop sign or a walkway, whether, you know, do I fly by, you know, what are the rules?
Sure.
I can bring up the one I wrote down for working in the school district. So obviously with our buildings all being landlocked, we're gonna have a set number of parking spots available to be able to host large events, which often puts our families parking on streets, especially at Bristol Elementary, Avery Elementary. So then you have a lot more foot traffic and people trying to find places to park on Marshall. And then you have everyone turn across the street and walk. So, and then obviously here you pick up and drop off. Because we don't have that large infrastructure, we are in lines in the buildings. We don't exactly have driveways to pick up and drop off. So here's trying to find a place to park. Always presents challenges.
Now, there's a good point, there's a clear connection between parking and jaywalking. Like, I think, depending on where you park, is there a designated walkway to cross the street, and if not, you know, people are just crossing wherever. No, it's, I agree that the drop off and stuff, by the library especially, there's like multiple schools running on at times. And since it's not clear where you can, people are just like doing anything kind of to like, I'm not gonna be able to do that. You're kind of being a waiting, because that also, because they don't know that it's okay to park here, there, or where they should, creates an urgency to leave as soon as their pickup gets in the car. And so then you've got to go quickly to try and get out of the way, to get out of where they think they might be wrong. So there's like a lot of people don't know what to do because they don't have the guidance.
Okay.
So is that a matter of signage or a matter of?
I personally am like in favor of like the ground. You know, because people ignore signs, but you always look where you're driving. And like, you know, whether it's crosshatch where you definitely can't because of sight lines or safety or crosswalk, but where it is okay. I help guide people towards making the choices in which to remain.
We have a similar situation on Big Bend in front of the bagel shop. I think it's similar to the I'm just running in real quick for a bagel and they park where they shouldn't park. And we've tried a lot of different things. We've tried cones, there is striping, and it's hard to get people to obey. So I don't know if it's an enforcement issue, like, because also I think people know kind of generally, like, I'm probably not going to do it. The sentiment around town. I don't know.
I think part of the problem is just given the infrastructure of Webster roads, we are landlocked between residential places to go a bunch of non-parking spaces. When you run out of the parking, people are desperate to find a place to park. But not even fix for that. Parking.
Context of parking for us and it is road with fire department and police to a degree. Our trucks are bigger, wider, so accessibility getting to life saving people and living to people, time matters. And so our troops are creative. There are times that we can't get down some of our streets because of double-sided parking. And so we have to back up and go over the crowd because we literally can't fit. So we have to jump out of the truck and spot so we don't get a car and truck. But that's one of our biggest challenges is accessibility due to this parking areas. We don't see quite as many challenges in the business districts just because there is identified parking where our crews know we had a local fire, we're going to get 6 fire trucks, 2 ambulances, chiefs, on the first group of rescuers coming and emergency workers. So along our side streets is actually where we stage those other units outside of our first 2. So we will always have 4 trucks sitting on the side. We bring the firefighters up to the scene. So we just put the primary ladder engine in front of the house that's our structure. So it's not just the incident itself, it's the side streets that we're gonna have a lot more people and apparatus showing up. If it elevates to the second or hotel like that, now we have 12 trucks coming, so that's also a bigger fire perspective on accessibility, being pro challenge.
Perfect. Anything else?
This will be I will be saying this a lot, education, on those issues of uncertainty, who's right of way. The St. Louis is very car-minded mentality. Motorists are at the top of the food chain. So many motorists think this. And everybody pays taxes. And so the people on the bikes, they have rights and responsibilities. And I just feel like for safety issues, when it comes to, I don't know how many times I've seen children standing in a crosswalk that we have designated and cars are just zoom, zoom, zoom. So reminders, just an education.
We're actually wondering in that case, if that method of noticing the property is actually marked. Like I've seen lots of different methods of that, but the one in Old Webster. And it's such teeny tiny lights, it almost seems like the reflection of something instead of a attention, this is the crosswalk and somebody's trying to.
Well, I totally yes. And I still just feel like you are driving through a business district, you need to be paying attention. If you see people at the crosswalk looking to cross, yeah, like, that's your responsibility.
Some of the areas are also kind of what helps with some structural changes like ballparks and so that we bring the pedestrians closer to the road and the view of the motorists will be better. So that their crossing distance is shorter, plus they are more visible by the motorists and they're not just out to the side and so they won't really see that they're looking down the road.
Yeah, they've got that, and they're planted little areas, but you're right, it brings it closer so that they're safe-ish. I didn't catch where you said, front where, Boatwood, it's a cafe, garden center. Okay.
Would you say education, you guys love it?
Love it. Yeah, I think, kind of multifaceted, if that's coming from, the city of Webster, that to me looks like, doing things collaborating with like Webster on Wheels, finding ways to raise awareness at like our showing up and maybe tabling at, maybe it's like a campaign for like a year or something. For showing up at the festivals where the people are, kind of like with fun interactive, like, and this is, your responsibility, social media, notes, tips and tricks in the Friday page, like that sort of outreach, finding people where they are, just like reminders, like when's the last time anybody has looked at like, like since when they turned 16, to take their like motorist tests, like driver's license tests, like how to refresh everybody's memory on their responsibility as a motorist and as a cyclist and pedestrian.
And what about loading, unloading? Was that captured up here at some point? Okay.
I think that goes with the striping and marking. I think if it's clear that this is the loading zone, that's. You know.
The question that's come up, employee being outside with electric roads, producing bills. I did note that, I've had calls, for traffic alerts, and detours and things of that kind. So, those that work outside, that live outside and work here, right, just giving them some kind of a guideline. Because, they're coming from, Central West End, instead of a couple of people. They think they're back in, right, and they're gonna park and conduct, their business as if they were in the Central West End. It doesn't work.
Okay. Thanks, Jamie. Okay, wonderful. Unless there's anything else, we'll go ahead and move on. Did you have anything?
That hasn't already been kind of discussed. I mean, honestly, parking is one of the bigger complaints that we get, department particularly around the high school or in the Crossroad Business District is one of recently was discussed in one of the meetings. It's one of those tough issues for us to handle. Because it's a continuous problem. It's not something that's just going to go away. I know that the TAC is working on fine tuning their proposal for parking because it's made all the way to community group and they hear complaints as well. So we're working to try to find innovative solutions to the issue, but as Jacob said, this is a small. This community has grown inside of these small streets, and it's difficult to find a balance between growing and then also where the parking goes.
We do have, when we get to the demonstration projects, there is a technology that we'll be piloting. It's an in-road light warning system at pedestrian crosswalks. And so that, will at least give us a time to test that, and then we can determine if it's effective and then, possibly place that at various crosswalks around. Okay, good to know. Thank you guys so much. We will move on to our update on community outreach. Okay, so last time you guys helped us, we went through the first survey that we will be rolling out. This is just a general survey, open to everyone to get everyone's attitudes and perspectives on safety. It has nothing to do with the demonstration projects yet. We don't even mention those. We're just trying to get everyone's concerns that we haven't thought of, that haven't been addressed, possible solutions or ideas or technologies. And so we are rolling that out on actually Thanksgiving Day, because we've created these yard signs. If you can see on the PowerPoint, that little graphic to the right, Webster Groves needs your input on roadway safety. That's actually our design for yard signs. We've had 10 yard signs printed, and we'll be putting those up around the route for the Turkey Day run. And then we'll be repurposing those signs for various events, but I think the next one will be on December 7th. It is the Old Orchard tree lighting and the Santa's on the Loose. So we'll be putting those yard signs around there, and the QR code links to the survey, obviously. Right now we have, this survey is scheduled to be open until the end of February. That could change, but right now that's what we're thinking. And then you'll also notice, just while it's here, this little logo, it's at the upper right corner of the yard sign down below the WG Safe Streets. Just calling that out, that's the logo that we'll be putting on all of our materials and branding. So
Sean, if I can just real quick.
yeah.
City has a lot of surveys out right now. We've got our flood response survey, we've got our comprehensive plan survey, and then of course this, as you all know, people get survey fatigue. They are all very important. They're all collecting different perspectives and data points. Please be our champions. Encourage people, say, hey, we know you're tired of surveys, but please complete the survey, because we can only move forward. Well, we're going to move forward but we want to be able to have perspectives that represents the entire community, so it's incredibly important that we catch those.
Thank you. Along those lines, we've printed off a few of these little flyers. Feel free to pass them out or post them or whatever, but if you wouldn't mind helping us spread the word, we would greatly appreciate it. And then, so are we ready to move on to the next slide? So we are actually, if you guys don't mind, you guys are our task force and pilot group. So we'd love for you all to take the survey as well. And so here's the QR code. If you wouldn't mind, it only takes 5 minutes or less. We've each taken it and tested it. It's pretty quick. You'll notice we added a few things like illumination from our conversation last month. So if you wouldn't mind just pulling out your cameras and opening the QR code and taking a few minutes, we would greatly appreciate it.
That's a business owner, this is gonna be a nice thing to have, and people in my business like, okay, so I can do it.
Oh, good, good. I'm so glad to hear that.
You drop one off at the daily.
Yes. Actually, we'll ship them out. We are just really-
Yes.
Yeah.
Is anyone else?
And if there's any like glaring typos, please let us know.
While you are taking the survey, I just want to talk about this really cool logo that we have for WV Safe Streets that Sean put together, and going forward, everything will have this on it. So if you see it, it's for Webster Groves Safe Streets, okay? So. And then it's official.
You mentioned that you noticed the golf cart. Thank you. I was like, I'll be honest, I'm not a graphic designer, so I was kind of proud of it. But yes, Dr. Martin's very gracious pumping me up about it. But I did put in the golf cart, which I thought was a fun.
Almost.
That's right.
I was hoping the golf carts would be like a trend, but. Going away.
Like, we just haven't had a other
Okay.
option,
Remind me, what's that question?
which is, that greatest impact on the community safety.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, how do you guys feel about the length? This is the first survey, so we can, you know, this will be helpful for us to know for the future surveys, but anything come to mind that we should think about changing or? Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, great.
Wasn't a selection for Webster. I guess I'm not listening to that question.
Oh, thank you. I think, okay. I think actually we thought if someone selected non-resident, it would skip over that. So thank you. Okay. It did not skip over it. Okay.
Same for the reverse. It didn't go over the next one.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
And the demographic data. Is a little light. I don't know how deep you want to get into demographics of people who are taking surveys. Like this not to add tenure, Webster, generations of your education background. I don't know, just other than demographics.
Okay. Yeah, it's a fine line between making it an efficient and quick survey and then, you know, so we struggle with how many questions to put on there, how far down to go into demographics, but good to know that you thought it was a little light.
See that, yeah. And like, you guys need to say, you're not a resident, are you want to, well, people.
Yeah, you can. Okay. Thank you.
To the demographic, one, I know you're trying to keep it brief, but one thing that I do find is like folks that have young kids have different views on street safety than folks whose kids are grown or haven't started a family or don't have kids. I don't know if that adds value to making decisions in the future, but it does, I don't know, highlight the differences and
How would you like, would you have an option that was like, you know, parent of a school
age,
elementary age, or even up to high school, you think?
So because the high school and like I walk almost every day to Hickson. And the, you know, high schoolers are coming from South 44 this way too, so I do all of those.
Okay.
Yeah, or maybe like for members of your household, you know, like. Whether, you know, whether elementary school, preschool. And age, whatever, just, you know, members of your household, we want the generational.
And is that?
Instead of trying to have the homeschool or.
Yeah.
I'm
not saying it's necessary, I just.
Yeah, no.
I don't think the survey is, it's not labor intensive, and I think that the demographics are critical for your sample to identify the differences. Especially who's choosing to take a survey.
Okay.
I would do something like your check boxes, like what are your priorities, do any of these apply to your household? That's really interesting, right? That's the one we need to assess.
Nice. Okay, good, thank you.
Kind of cater to people in the survey, and don't like excluded or what's not happening.
Okay, wonderful. You guys, thank you so much. Okay, moving on to our safety action plan, and Dr. Martin is going to lead us through this portion.
So as we all know, this is the safety action plan, strategic plan for urban growth, on how we're going to get to zero, vision zero.
You might be, I'm not sure, but I'll fix you. Okay.
Can you hear me better now? Okay. So because I've been looking at different safety action plans, and I've spoken with East West Gateway, Department of Transportation, and Kirkwood, our neighbor, has a safety action plan, and theirs is thorough. It's theirs was completed in 2020 or 2021. Our safety action plan has to complement theirs, as well as DOT, Missouri Department of Transportation, East West Gateway, and St. Louis County. So, but this one is the most relatable, when it comes to the city, because the other one's county and state. So, we are going to email this to you, but let's just take a quick gander at it. The email will come this afternoon. So particularly, you can read through all of it. The introduction, it's a lot of letters of support. But what I want you to look at is what you told us and the action plan. So let's just jump to page 20.
And out of all of the safety action plan in this region, that we would show you, we're starting with purpose because it's also the shortest. It's only
Yes.
44 pages.
Yes,
So, and they're right next door. So.
exactly.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna bring something up. Everybody Kurt with things, great.
So as I said, they have to be complimentary. Okay, so just bringing it back to the demonstration projects and how Kirkwood, they had demonstration projects in their grant and how they utilize the data from that to inform their implementation grant. So the reason I'm pulling this part out for you all to pay attention to is because there's been a lot of stress on the demonstration projects, and they're not the end all be all. And I want you all to really understand that the demonstration projects, they are happening. They've been laid out and there's no changing those, but how we can utilize them for the future of Webster Groves. Okay. The community engagement is the other piece that I want you all to pay attention to, which is chapter 3, and how Kirkwood utilized the data from their community engagement. They did tabling, they did public hearings, public meetings, just all the things that they did, but how they utilize that data to inform their strategic plan to get to Vision Zero. Okay. As well as what advisory committees they had and how they contributed to the overall action plan. And when you all come back in January, if you can come back and let us know how you felt about it, what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it, what we should probably implement. And if you all want, they do name other action plans, just shoot me an email and I will send it to you happily. If you want more reading, because each one of the action plans, Kirkwood it's a city, but the county is about St. Louis County overall, but they do a really good job of taking that data that the county presented and the state and East West Gateway and putting it into their plan so that everything is cohesive. And so we have to think about that as well. Okay. Any questions? Concerns? Say that one more time.
Is there a video? Because it is
I have no idea. Did they? Is that the plan? You want us to use the money to make a video, marketing video? Okay. All right. We're taking ideas.
actually part of the question that you, their class, and they did for this project, so it's.
Right. Okay.
A little bit homework, but we don't meet again in the summer, so we're back together in January. Anything else with the safety action plan or?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, so our next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, January 23rd. We'll be in council chambers moving forward. We do anticipate it at some point we'll hopefully be getting some guests that might join, so, just, we're in there for extra room. And then also, we're gonna send out a new meeting series from the WB Safe Streets inbox, for all the Taskforce meetings starting in the new year. So go ahead and delete the series that you had on your calendar that was blocking the time. Because we're changing the location. That's good. Thank you guys very much for coming. Grab coffee and film or whatever on the way out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, that's just.